Did you know that The Matrix almost had a completely different cast and director? Crazy to think about, right? But it's true. What we now consider a legendary film could have taken a totally different shape. From casting choices that could have completely shifted the tone, to directors who almost brought their own twist to the story, there's a whole world of what ifs that could have made this movie unrecognizable. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this. Let's jump into these wild alternate realities. This journey of The Matrix kicked off with the Wachowskis, who were barely known prior to making their mark with this movie. Producer Joel Silver was impressed by their love for science fiction, philosophy, and inventive narrative, so he supported their idea. However, what if The Matrix hadn't been directed by the Wachowskis? What if the leadership had been assumed by another visionary? Can you picture Ridley Scott directing The Matrix? The mastermind behind Alien and Blade Runner was being considered for the role at the beginning. If he had been selected, the mood of The Matrix may have been darker and more ominous, due to Scott's love for dystopian futures and his meticulous attention to visual detail. Additionally, James Cameron reportedly considered directing The Matrix before deciding to work on Avatar instead. Cameron's innovative visual effects and science fiction experience would have given the movie a distinct taste. Perhaps The Matrix would have seemed even more massive and thrilling if he had been able to construct immersive worlds. Nonetheless, Joel Silver, the producer, played the key role in making The Matrix a reality. Silver, who is well known for his work on action-packed movies like Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, made sure the movie featured the thrilling action scenes that movie fans loved. Now, before we discuss casting near misses, let's take a moment to examine what the Wachowskis' original vision was. The Matrix was a bold and revolutionary project from the Wachowskis' perspective. They created a story that questioned viewers' conceptions of reality by combining philosophical questions with cyberpunk aesthetics. The movie's famous action sequences were inspired by their love of anime and martial arts movies. However, it's interesting to think about how the film's narrative would have changed if their concept had been directed by someone else. When it comes to the casting process, a number of well-known actors were taken into account for the role of Neo before Keanu Reeves was chosen. Johnny Depp was the initial pick for Neo, but Warner Brothers objected to the idea. Producer Lorenzo di Bonaventura claims that Sandra Bullock received the screenplay as well. Neo would have been recreated as a woman if she had accepted the role. One of the best options was Will Smith, but Smith declined the offer in order to star in Wild Wild West. Well, Smith may have given Neo a fresh vibe with his personality and action hero skills. What are your thoughts about it? Additionally, Samuel L. Jackson and Gary Oldman were considered for the role of Morpheus prior to Lawrence Fishburne's stirring performance. Oldman's chameleon-like ability to change into every character would have added to Morpheus' allure. Furthermore, Jackson's passion and commanding presence may have given the part an additional degree of depth. Imagine Jackson saying, "Welcome to the real world." Kinda interesting, isn't it? In addition to them, Chow Yun-fat, a Hong Kong celebrity, was also offered the role, but he eventually declined. Well, it turned out it was all for the best, since Lawrence Fishburne was an ideal fit for the role. If we have to think of the most interesting possibilities, that's for sure are the ones related to script and plot changes. Examining what our favorite movies would have looked like if the initial story ideas had been realized is quite fascinating. So let's quickly go through them. The Wachowskis had a number of interesting ideas in their initial draft for The Matrix, but they were ultimately dropped. In one of the early scripts, the robots used human brains to increase their processing capacity. Individuals were neurally connected to the Matrix, a massive virtual world, but according to studio officials, the idea of neural computer networks was too complex for the typical viewer. With a greater focus on the dystopian elements of the Matrix universe, this version may have been more of a science fiction horror movie. But in the end, the narrative was changed to make the machines run on human energy. Also, the fact that Neo wasn't the first one that Morpheus had discovered was another abandoned story point from the Matrix. Neo was informed by Cypher that Morpheus had previously liberated 5 other ones from the Matrix, all of whom were killed in battle against the agents. Later, when Neo confronted Morpheus, he understood that his goal was to find them rather than identify the One. This subplot may have strengthened Neo's suspicions that he wasn't the One, and it might have ended up being recycled into the prophesized twist in Reloaded. His final victory would be all the more dramatic because of this. Furthermore, the removed subplot would have given Cypher's heel turn more context. Have you ever thought the movie needed a different ending than the one we got? No? Well, that's because the ending we got looked perfect. However, the movie's final moments experienced both significant and small changes from the start of the movie's idea in 1993 to the very end. Because of this, The Matrix strayed between being a fully independent film and an unfinished chapter of a larger plot that would be addressed in later sequels. The original ending of The Matrix saw Neo discovering his full potential and defeating Agent Smith, but there were additional possibilities as well. Early versions of the script reportedly had a conclusion in which Neo chooses to continue fighting while being an ordinary soldier. He rescues a kidnapped Morpheus before Agent Smith can persuade him to reveal Zion's location, an underground society in this draft that is home to the human resistance. After Neo overcomes Smith, Trinity saves him and Morpheus by helicopter before they are wiped out by an EMP missile. As the movie comes to an end, Morpheus witnesses Neo and Trinity sharing a kiss. Another ending included in initial scripts dragged Neo to the hidden city of Zion, which only appears in dialogue during the final movie. So what effect do you think such a conclusion would have had on the movie's reception? The Matrix visual aesthetic was greatly influenced by vintage Gothic movies, anime, as well as cyberpunk literature. However, the universe shown in the early concept drawings was considerably more stylized and gloomy than the finished one. The architecture in these designs was more rich and Gothic, while the Matrix itself was intended to be a strange and visually striking setting. The Wachowskis also took influence from a variety of sources, such as the classic combative art movies, William Gibson's writings, and the anime Ghost in the Shell. However, the movie may have had a more apocalyptic vibe if Ridley Scott had directed. On the other hand, a more imaginative and darkly magical style may have been introduced by a filmmaker, such as Tim Burton. It's kind of interesting to think about how these inspirations may have changed the movie's distinctive style. One of the most recognizable features of The Matrix is its innovative action choreography, which was greatly influenced by Hong Kong movies. In order to make their action sequences stand out, the Wachowskis hired Yuen Woo-ping, a renowned martial arts choreographer, who had worked on films like Iron Monkey and Drunken Master. The movie's inventive wire work, superb attention to detail, and balletic battle scenes all clearly show Wu-ping's influence. But what if someone else had been selected as the choreographer? Let's explore a few fascinating options. What if the Matrix action sequences had been designed by John Woo, the mastermind behind movies like The Killer and Hard Boiled? He could have made The Matrix more epic, with his trademark slow motion, dual-wielding guns, and dramatic confrontations. Another interesting alternative is Sammo Hung, a legendary martial artist and action choreographer who has worked on movies like Project A and Enter the Dragon. Characters in The Matrix may have displayed a greater variety of combative skills and even more intricate fighting sequences if Hung had been involved. It would have given the already stunning action in the movie a new depth. Additionally, Don Davis's soundtrack for The Matrix is amazing, blending mechanical sounds with symphonic components to produce a unique soundscape. But what if the movie's soundtrack had been composed by Trent Reznor, better known as Nine Inch Nails? Reznor's gloomy electronic sound may have added a sense of intensity and boldness to The Matrix. His ability to compose music for films that are strongly affecting is demonstrated by his work on The Social Network and Gone Girl. The movie's intense themes of dystopia, revolt, and existential sorrow would have been highlighted by Reznor's music. Among the other musicians that had been suggested for the soundtrack was Marilyn Manson, whose gothic approach may have given the movie's mood a grave edge. How do you think these other soundtrack selections may have changed the movie's memorable moments? While you think about those possibilities, let's move on to explore the movie's sequels. We all know that the Wachowskis broadened the Matrix world with 3 sequels and other associated media like video games and the Animatrix, following the popularity of the movie. Reactions to the sequels were not uniform. The sequels fell short of many people's expectations. The sequels had been directed by a different creative team. One option is that Ridley Scott might have directed each sequel, stressing the existential and logical ideas that were initially presented in the original movie. Scott's talent for presenting difficult concepts in striking visuals may have produced an entire series with a new level of complexity and unity. Despite the what-ifs, The Matrix has had a lasting impact on pulp culture and cinema. Its inventive use of special effects, especially the bullet time method, has impacted multiple video games and movies. Viewers are still moved by the movie's philosophical explorations of reality, free choice, and the essence of life. The Matrix has influenced culture in ways that go beyond movies. From the green coating to the black trench coats, its aesthetic has become recognizable. The movie's themes have sparked conversations and arguments about truth, technology, and the future. Furthermore, The Matrix inspired designers all around the world with its elegant, minimalist look. The cyberpunk aesthetic, featuring black leather jackets and sunglasses, came to represent classy future fashion. Additionally, The Matrix has influenced online culture through many memes and allusions. Words like blue pill and red pill became popular and often used to denote a decision between accepting a painful reality and continuing to live in cozy ignorance. So, as we sit here and consider all the numerous possibilities that The Matrix might have been, it is evident that the final product was a brilliant blend of imagination and creativity. The Wachowskis' devotion and unique viewpoint gave us a movie that challenged our notions and pushed the limits of what cinema may accomplish. From choreography to casting, from the soundtrack to the plot, every choice helped shape The Matrix into the iconic cultural phenomenon it is today. The next time you watch The Matrix, pause to consider the amazing path that led to the creation of this timeless masterpiece. Also consider the countless what-ifs that may have altered its journey. These are interesting ideas that highlight the amazing process from script to big screen. These endless possibilities make filmmaking so profound, and The Matrix is an incredible example of what is possible when the perfect conditions are met. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think the Wachowskis' adaptation of The Matrix was the best choice? Or would these changes have created a new sort of classic? Share your comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more untold Hollywood stories.